We don't need television. Not as long as we have our imagination.
It's the 2024 micro-budget Blumhouse horror film that focuses on childhood imaginary friends, but with a sinister turn.
You don't have to feel threatened.
But is Imaginary a good horror movie, or is it just another run-of-the-mill shithouse dump films?
Imaginary friends don't get hungry, sweetie.
But he's not imaginary.
Join BP, Coop and myself, Justin, as we venture into a world of
your imagination.
This is the Complete Guide to Horror Movies podcast. Welcome back, fans and friends, to the Complete Guide to Horror Movies podcast. Today we are discussing Imaginary, the 2024 Blumhouse horror film directed by Jeff Wadlow. And yes, that is the Jeff Wadlow behind such acclaimed hits like Fantasy Island and Truth or Dare, in which there's a teddy bear, but it's also an imaginary friend, but it's not imaginary, but it is, and then it kills people, but it can't because it's imaginary. The end. Now, personally, I was very disappointed by this movie. I thought this was going to be something quite good based on the trailers, which I know looking back at the trailers, it's just like, oh, this kind of looks like shit. But at the same time, I just thought this had some promise to it, and then it didn't deliver. So I thought, well, what the fuck is this about? So those are my overall thoughts. Coop, you saw this at the cinema as well. What did you think?
Not a lot. It just kind of felt like your typical cookie cutter Blumhouse film. I didn't know anything about the movie going in. We're literally trying to kill time before a flight, and then like out of the options, it was kind of like the most appealing. So sat through that. Like I didn't hate it just because it was it was a decent time filler, which was good. It helped me out. But I don't know. I've seen this movie before. I think we all have.
What about yourself, BP? I know that you watched it at the cinema too, aka Torrance. What did you think?
Yeah, look, I probably should have looked at the reviews before and then what you guys said and what a couple of other friends said, because it was pretty average from what you said. And it was pretty average viewing. I mean, like Coop said, there's a lot of things I've just seen in another film. A lot of stuff just reminded me like Insidious, to be honest. But yeah, it's just the cliched stuff, new people move to a new house or, all that sort of stuff. And I feel like, to be honest, it's a bit of a distant cousin to try to be like a Megan too, in a way. Like they're trying to capitalize off a doll and do like a teddy bear. But yeah, I didn't really lose sleep, if I didn't watch it. So
great for you.
I will defend Jeff Wadlow because even though we already covered this movie on the podcast, I still think Truth or Dare is one of those movies that could have been a lot better if it was just executed better. And that's how I feel about this too. Like, I love a good, silly horror movie. Like the same, Fantasy Island, the remake, also by Jeff Wadlow. I was a big fan of that movie because of how fucking stupid it was. It took the original concept of Fantasy Island and was just like, hey, what if it was a horror movie? But also there's a twist with Lucy Hale, who was also in Truth or Dare. And so it was like, well, it's stupid, but it's supposed to be stupid. Whereas Imaginary, it feels like it's trying to be a serious thing about trauma. Trauma, mama.
Trauma. The 2018 movie obviously was a movie about trauma. The whole last movie was a study in trauma. And
instead, it's just the dumbest fucking movie that when the movie ended, I was just like, what the fuck was that? Maybe if we had covered this movie when we first started the podcast, I'd be like, oh yeah, 8.6 out of 10. Woo. But no.
No!
I don't have a favorite part apart from I've noticed this curse with Blumhouse horror. Yes, this is a hate-filled episode towards Blumhouse, but the last third of the horror movie, when they go into the imaginary world or whatever, and it's all twisted hallways and it's cool set design, that should have been in the first 2/3 of the movie. I don't understand why they held it out to the last third. But then If I say anything more, it's just going to go into my least favorite parts. So I'll just leave it there. Coop, did you have any favorite parts?
At times it did look good. Things were pretty shiny. I thought the opening, the spider thing, that was pretty cool. That's, pretty scary. I didn't mind the those as silly as it was, like the black eyes, like in the never or never ever place. That looked pretty silly, but like pretty creepy. It reminded me a bit of that Goosebumps episode with the haunted librarian guy with the eyes that come out.
Oh, the girl who cried monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hell reminded me of that. So that struck a nerve there, and with me, it was like, oh, that's a bit creepy. But other than that, not really. I kind of hated the because it was so obvious, that part where it's meant to be a big happy ending, but she's still stuck in there. That was so fucking stupid. But I kind of got a kick out of that just because of how on the nose it was. Yeah, but not a lot of positives with this one.
Yeah. Actually, I will back you up on that creepy eye thing. There's that scene where the lead actress, DeWanda Wise, she walks past and it's the happy family portrait, and then it just goes in their faces all fucked and twisted. I was like, that's cool. I wish it was more of that. But also, I felt like as if they were referencing Coraline. And I'll admit, I've never seen Coraline properly because I think I was like 16 when that movie came out. But the button eyes and everything, I was like, is this supposed to be like that movie? Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it. But BP, did you have any favorite parts?
Yeah, look, in addition to that opening scene, I really liked the scene with the next door neighbor with the boy when he's chasing the string around the stairs at the top. And then it winds up to the bear, and then the bear kind of morphs into it kind of reminded me of, I think it's It Chapter 2, where Pennywise gets really big in the projector. And it launches into the bear. That actually scared the crap out of me. Thought that was really cool. And you're right, Justin. That ending with the set design, it was really cool. I just wish, I guess as a pro, it was good set design. I just wish it was sooner in the movie, if not the start, somewhere in the middle, because I think that kind of the movie was a bit of a wave of. I feel like it started out bad and kind of got good to that set design, and then just kind of finished bad. So, but yeah, there's nothing else really that I noted. I mean, like Coop said, there's like some decent CGI, and I guess I jumped a couple times when she looked under the bed, when she went over the bed and put her eyes under. I kind of expected it, but I still jumped. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
I will add to that because that made me jump as well, that part where she looks under the bed. I thought it was going to be the bear. Like,
yes,
the
I
bear's
thought that
gonna
as well.
jump towards it, but then it was just her weird Bandcamp SoundCloud musician partner, and I was like, oh.
Why would you do that? Okay.
In terms of least favorite parts, everything. So didn't like the writing, didn't like the ending. I hated the opening. I hated the fact that it seems like every horror movie is trying to be like A24 without putting in the effort to be an A24 movie. So they're like, oh, movie about haunted doll. Then they're like, oh, shit, we gotta make it A24. Childhood trauma, we'll put that in. That's like, but you did do it very well. And, I do think acting-wise, it was actually pretty all right from everyone involved. Just, it's a bit hard when you've got a script like this that is just, looks like it was written within a week as like a year 10 film project. But, yeah. If Jeff Wadlow ever watches this episode, he's gonna like fucking kill me, so I hope so. Apart from that, I do have this little bit of criticism, and I know this is very weird to say, but I often feel like there's a lot of horror movies these days where it's often around little girls getting hurt and seeing them cry. And I always think that's a bit fucking weird. It's like Annabelle Creation. I love Annabelle Creation. It is the best Annabelle out of all three of those movies. But that whole movie is little blonde girls getting like terrorized over and over again. And this one, I was like, oh, it's just this little girl like slamming a hand on a nail or whatever. It just felt a bit weird. Like, it's going to be like part of that new Quiet on Set documentary, but No. Did you have any least favorite parts?
Heaps. The story, the acting, the dialogue, pretty much all of the dialogue was pretty shit. Yeah, not good. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, it just didn't flow. The acting wasn't very good. Everything was kind of predictable. As I said, I've seen this movie before, so it was kind of like, yeah, it was, but yeah, very shiny.
Yeah. Especially that part you spoke about before, Coop, where it's obvious it's the fake out ending and she's still trapped in that imagination land or whatever.
Yeah.
And the little girl's like, and you saved our family or whatever. I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? This better be a fake out or I'm going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be fake. I was like, oh, thank God.
Thank you, goodness.
I never really said thank you, Jess. I know I could be hard to deal with. But you never gave up on me.
And you showed me I didn't need Chauncey. I'm strong on my own. Thanks, Mom.
But I like that type of meta criticism because there's a lot of horror movies that do that type of fake happy ending bullshit where they're like, and wow, all our lives are so complete. And it's like, you have years of trauma now from surviving a plane crash or whatever. But it was all a dream and it all worked out. No. BP, do you have any least favorite parts?
Yeah, look, I'm with you guys. Majority of the movie was just crap. One, I guess, as a concluding comment or overall comment, I just said it lacks depth in a lot of ways. And I feel like that whole blue scene at the end was just ripped out of like Insidious minus fog. Because it happens in every Insidious movie. They go back into little dreamland. And then, like as you said, Coop, like the dialogue was horrible. I felt that a lot of scenes kind of just jumped around. It just felt a bit skittish, the whole movie. It just, I don't know, they just kind of moved in, and even like the sisters weren't convincing me that they were, even though they're not sisters in real life. It just, a lot of the stuff, it just didn't feel like it came together well. And so I'm not sure, as we always discuss, if this is a budget issue or if it was rushed to get to release. But yeah, like the bear just reminds me of Annabelle 1, where it's just these long pan shots of the bear and it's not doing anything, and then it, like, halfway through it snuggles up to the girl in the bed, and I'm like, ooh,
The bear went over the mountain. The Bernstein Bears. Oh, Goldilocks. And the three bears.
There's actually not a lot of trivia for this movie, so the only two parts I can actually find on IMDb/Reddit is that the director, Jeff Wadlow, cited Poltergeist as an influence on this movie. He said that it perfectly strikes a balance between scares and this benign sense of wonder and excitement and emotion that you get when you have a family that you care about. So the problem is I didn't care about the family. And then the second bit of trivia is the first trailer first premiered in front of Five Nights at Freddy's. Woo! It's almost like it was planned from the beginning. Consisted almost entirely of sound effects over a blank screen, encouraging audiences to use their imagination, which translates to they ran out of budget. So, ta-da.
Or they hadn't filmed it yet, maybe, and they just kind of went off with the audio. Yeah.
I was just like, let's just do that instead. But I stumbled across this piece of trivia, which is not related to imagination, but it is related to the director, Jeff Wadlow. So, Truth or Dare, which came out in 2018, had like terrible critical reviews, but did actually quite well in box office, as we discussed in our previous episode. So there was going to be a sequel to Truth or Dare called Truth or Dare IRL, which is internet slang for in real life. And it was supposed to be a meta sequel in which all the actors from Truth or Dare would reprise their roles, but as themselves. Like it would be, what's her name? Pretty Little Liars Girl as Pretty Little Liars Girl, like insert teenage Chad Zachary Chad as that person. But then COVID happened and then they lost interest in filming it, blah, blah, blah. So that went down the drain. So then Jeff Wadlow picks up this movie and it's still doing okay at the box office. It's getting terrible reviews everywhere. Like every YouTuber that I follow is saying that it's one of the worst horror movies they've ever seen. which surprises me because I thought this was going to be a movie where I personally disliked it and everyone loves it, but guess not.
I remember watching the trailer and just feeling underwhelmed, and I think even the poster just lacks effort or any. I don't know. It just the whole thing just feels lazy. And I'm surprised when you said they did the audio teaser that they didn't make audiences demand the visual.
I think that was coming.
It's like, nah. You get the audio only.
There is one other bit of trivia, sorry. So I called this, the family moves into the house on Elm Street in Springwood, which is a direct reference to A Nightmare on Elm Street, which also happens on Elm Street and happens in Springwood across all 85 of those movies. So yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like Leonardo DiCaprio. I was like, whoa, like there it is, I saw that. But it doesn't mention here anything about Coraline. It doesn't mention anything about Insidious or The Further, which I do think they ripped off with this movie. So, but also calling it The Never Ever, that sounds like it sounds like your favorite TV show, BP Riverdale. How they have a character called Edgar and the Never. No.
It's my favorite former TV show because it's not on air anymore.
It's true.
Goosebumps season 2.
I still haven't finished all of season 1 yet. Like I know it's good, I just haven't been bothered yet.
It's just like Riverdale setting with just Goosebump, but it's not really like the original VHS original releases, which was so good.
Yeah, I like those, but every time I try to watch,
and it's continuity, like it's just continuous 1 to 8 episodes, like one story.
Yeah, like I don't mind that. I just think all the Goosebump books. I've read all 62 original Goosebump books, and they were always very short stories. So, like, yeah, there were sequels in that. Like, what was it, Monster Blood 7 or something? But
yeah, like Night of the Living Dummy 3, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I've always thought that Monster Blood would make a really good TV show.
Yeah,
like that, just because all those books were fucking, that reoccurring storyline was pretty good.
Yeah, like they should easily be able to make 7 seasons out of it. It could even be different casts each season, or just like goes from town to town, because it's such a universal thing. But you know, fuck Imaginary. Let's do Monster Blood.
Yeah.
Take them, my monster blood. Take them all. Devour and demolish them. Crush them and consume them. My monster blood.
Personally, I'm going to give this 3 out of 10. I think there's huge amounts of room for improvement, and it sucks because it definitely shows in the last third of the movie with the incredible set design of the Never Ever. There's some really good scary pieces, but there's not really a lot of suspense outside of that one drawstring scene. So maybe just more of that, it would have been really, really great. Could have taken the concept of childhood trauma further, but you know, it is a Blumhouse 90-minute film, so you get what you get. But it's just very telling that a lot of people hate this movie, so that's all I'm going to say about it. Coop, what about yourself?
I'm going to give it a little bit more than that, just because, like I said, it was shiny at times, fun to look at. So 4.5 severed pinkies out of 10.
Nice. And last but not least, BP.
I'll give it a 4 out of 10. As I said earlier, yeah, it's very cliched and lacks any sort of idea, and just the laziness in the movie. You know, if you're going to be lazy making the movie, no wonder why people aren't going to go see it. And it hasn't made it's made a bit of money, but nothing crazy. And the reviews aren't great. I just think come up with a good idea, an original idea, and stop leeching off the back of other good movies like Insidious franchise. Well, some of them. Yeah.
Nice. So I actually can't work out what our average is because I feel like I'm not good at math these days. Let's just say it's
4.
Is it 4? Because it's 3.5, 4.5.
Yeah.
4. 4 out of 10. We'll leave it at that.
I think it's 4.8 on IMDb, so we're being extra harsh.
We're not being harsh enough. We need to give it like -4 out of 10. BP and Coop, thank you both very much for joining me today to discuss Imaginary.
It was
Thanks,
shit. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime, anytime. Listeners, we have plenty of other episodes. Check them out in our catalog. Fuck, what was I going to say?
Like, subscribe, hit that button.
Yeah.
Hit
God,
that
it's been
button.
so long
All
since
that
we
shit.
did one of these.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, all that shit. Check us out on TikTok, where we are much, much more popular. And if you hated this episode,
Are you a Care Bear?
I'm an intensive care bear.
Why does a bear need a crowbar?
I don't like to get my hands dirty.